Ladies and gentlemen, I go by the name of Papa Jr. This is the Ring Out Podcast. Today I'm going to react to 10 biggest ECW controversies. This video was by Cultaholic, man. Remember, what was that shit called? What Culture? Is that a thing still? What Culture Pro Wrestling back in the days, man, 2016, 2017, man. Those were fun days, man. I remember WCPW, bro. Those shows were fucking great, man. Had a lot of fucking great talent there. It had some, bro. Those were good times. But today, this is Cultaholic. This is the people that were in World Culture Pro Wrestling. Now they got their own shit going on. And they're gonna talk about the biggest ECW controversies that happened back in the day, man. I'm interested, got me intrigued. The thumbnail got me intrigued because Kurt Angle was in the fucking thumbnail. I'm like, okay, let's see what's up. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Or we're until the end of the show, end of the episode, end of the video. If I deserve one. I'm not gonna force you to do something you don't feel like you don't have to do, but I wanna earn it. Ring Out Podcast, Papa Jr. Let's get it.
Extreme Championship Wrestling accomplished much during its relatively short lifespan and made such an impact on fans that it's still very much mourned today, almost a quarter of a century after it folded. But while fans may be quick to remember all the positives that ECW gave the wrestling world, it's also worth remembering that ECW was often extremely controversial. From firings and lawsuits to fistfights and other unsanctioned violence, there was usually something salacious for Paul Heyman's promotion to deal with, which they usually started, to be fair. I'm Adam Pachisi from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are the 10 biggest ECW controversies. Join us. Number 10, the exploitation of Tammy Sytch. Tammy Sytch, aka Sunny, may have made some very bad decisions during her life, but there's no escaping the fact that she was also on numerous occasions treated very poorly by the pro wrestling industry. One of the most egregious
Was this after her WWF career? She looked a little old there, and she gained a little few right there. Listen, she did her ex. What's his name? Adonis? No, Candido. Damn, bro. Let me know in the comments. Y'all know who I'm talking about, man. She did him dirty, bro. From what I've heard, man. Cheating on him and all that. She did him dirty, bro.
Egregious instances of this was ECW's decision to air a tabloid-style expose of Sytch on the October 8th, 1999 episode of ECW on TNN. With no new in-ring material to offer, Paul Heyman built the show around a candid interview with Tammy, who was very clearly in the throes of addiction at the time. Interspersed with copious shots of Sytch in a bikini was an interview where the one-time most downloaded woman in the world spoke about her prescription drug problem, cried over the death of her close friend Louis Spicoli, and then broke down over the death of her 16-year-old niece. Filmed in an uncomfortable close-up, the whole thing screamed of ratings ploy, while Heyman himself could be heard egging Tammy on from behind the camera. The act of a promotion and man who had clearly entered desperation mode, this whole debacle was widely condemned after it had aired. Number 9,
And then afterwards did PORN. I don't know if I could say it here. We're gonna be saying a lot of dumb shit. Doing PORN afterwards. And then more drugs, drinking and driving. Unalived the senior citizen. Now she's doing time. Fucking A, bro. It's like, I don't know how can you feel bad for somebody like that never cared about society and unalived somebody, a senior citizen. Because if you were trying to get helped, if there's people out there that want to help you, and if you can't even help yourself, I don't know what to tell you. And then you do fucking crimes afterwards, then I can't feel sorry for you.
Paul Heyman publicly fires Sabu. The main event of ECW's Three-Way Dance 1995 was supposed to be Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko defending the ECW tag team titles against both Public Enemy and Sabu and the Tasmaniac in a match that would act as the culmination of several storyline threads. However, Sabu had accidentally double booked himself on a New Japan card that same day and, faced with a choice, opted to honor his commitment across the Atlantic since New Japan had promised him a push to go along with future, more lucrative bookings. When Heyman found out that Sabu wouldn't be there by listening to his answering machine message, he took the step of publicly firing what was arguably the top drawing singles wrestler in ECW.
Damn.
The former ECW champion did admit that he was in the wrong, but obviously didn't appreciate the way the situation was handled, while claiming he took the New Japan gig for financial security as he made several times what he would do for an ECW show. In any event, Rick Steiner replaced Sabu on the night, but the man from Bombay, Michigan would be back before the end of the year. Number 8, Bounce Check.
And like nothing happened. Like, I get it, financial security. That's all in good, man. But come on, bro. Don't leave in bad terms with your, the people that made you type shit. I don't know what he did before ECW, to be honest with you. But I know Sabu, ECW. Everything, I think of ECW, Sabu, Tommy Dreamer, The Sandman, fucking Mike Awesome, that's his name. RVD, the Dudley Boys, all those guys, the originals. And don't leave in bad terms, to those that fucking helped you get where you at right now type shit, get your name out there, I understand both sides. Paul Heyman, you publicly fire him like that in the middle of the ring. You'll probably, feel some type of way about it. But Paul Heyman don't give a shit. New Yorkers could be petty as fuck, bro. I'm a New Yorker myself. I could be petty too. but damn, bro. In the public, like, nigga, do that shit closed doors, bro. Like, ECW fans made ECW also, man. It's like a whole family with the ECW crowd, bro. Without the fans, wrestling ain't shit. Look what happened during the pandemic. That was tough to get through, but that ECW fan base was just different. It's nowhere near. We are nowhere near that type of fandom nowadays. Nowhere near that. That shit will never be duplicated. Not even GCW. So doing that shit in public, that's kind of fucked up. Going behind their back, double booking yourself, and then you choose to go across the Atlantic, man, that's kind of fucked up as well. But at the same time, you were looking out for yourself. And, at least they made up at the in the future. Time heals all wounds. And they welcomed them back, man.
Checks. As brilliant as Paul Heyman was back before the end of the year.
Bounce checks.
Number 8, Bounce Checks. As brilliant as Paul Heyman was as a creative mind, he was equally terrible as a businessman. Though ECW seemed to be thriving during the mid to late 90s, the promotion was never managed well, to say the least, and they often came up short on paydays. Per the company's bankruptcy records, Rob Van Dam was owed a staggering $150,000 at the end, while the likes of Joey Styles and Rhino were due $50,000 and Shane Douglas close to that amount. Tommy Dreamer, meanwhile, was out $100,000 in salary, but had, as part owner of the company, invested a lot more that he wouldn't be able to recoup. The innovator of violence felt so shafted by Heyman after ECW went
He's probably going to say it. That story with Tommy Dreamer. Let me see if he's going to say it.
Under that he admitted contemplating killing his former boss / business partner live on air at WrestleMania X7 before turning the gun on himself. ECW gave many people careers in the professional wrestling industry, but it quite literally came at a great cost to a lot of them. Number 7, Paul Heyman versus TNN. With the company struggling financially despite doing good business on the road and shifting a ton of merchandise, Paul Heyman and the rest of of the ECW crew believed that getting a TV deal with TNN in the fall of 1999 was the answer to their prayers and would help keep them in business for a long time to come. Oh, how wrong they were. Not only did the TNN deal not stave off the inevitable, but ECW were publicly burned by the network when they negotiated to get WWE Raw and then kicked them off the air.
Wow.
Prior to that happening, Heyman was using the show on TNN to antagonize the network, calling them out for perceived slights while literally begging them to cancel the show. He also, of course, created the heelish Cyrus character as an oppressive network representative. In one particularly memorable moment, Heyman went on a prolonged insult-laden rant, airing his grievances and essentially declared war on TNN. Was it a work? Was it a shoot? Had Heyman and ECW worked themselves into a shoot, brother? It's difficult to say with any degree of absolute certainty, but there were clearly major issues between them and TNN, and they manifested on screen. Number 6, The Mole. In WWE's Rise and Fall of ECW documentary, Tommy Dreamer said that Heyman remained loyal to the crew so long as the crew remained loyal to Heyman. One person who seemingly didn't remain loyal to Heyman was Todd Gordon, the founder and booker of the original Eastern Championship Wrestling before he sold ECW to Heyman in 1995. Gordon abruptly left ECW in September of 97 under suspicious circumstances. Publicly, Heyman downplayed the exit and said that Gordon had simply resigned due to business differences. Privately, though, it was a very different story. Gordon was actually fired after Heyman and Tommy Dreamer heard voice messages between Gordon and WCW's Terry Taylor, where Gordon was negotiating to bring in ECW talent for a supposed interpromotional invasion storyline. Gordon, as the broker, would get a fee for every talent he was able to bring to WCW, while he was also heard lobbying for his own full-time job with Eric Bischoff's promotion. Meanwhile, Bill Alfonso was also implicated and supposedly only saved his job after putting in a great performance in his bloodbath with Beulah McGillicuddy. Gordon has disputed the Mole story and claimed that the whole thing was a work orchestrated by him and Heyman. Number 5, An Awesome Departure. Paul Heyman's big booking idea for the year 2000 was to build a pay-per-view match between television champion Rob Van Dam and world champion Mike Awesome. Then RVD broke his ankle and Awesome jumped ship to WCW. Awesome, like many on the ECW roster, had been having trouble getting paid of late and decided that enough was enough. Heyman naturally didn't fancy his champ showing up for the competition, and there was much back and forth and legal threats before the future Fat Chick Thriller was cleared to appear on WCW programming. He then came back to ECW for one night to drop the strap to WWE star Taz as part of a deal worked out with Heyman and WCW to avoid the lawyers getting involved. There was serious resentment against Awesome in the ECW locker room from that point on, though his defenders will point out that he did what he needed to do for his family. Awesome redeemed himself in the eyes of many by stealing the show with Masato Tanaka at the original One Night Stand pay-per-view in 2005 before sadly taking his own life in February of 2007. Number 4, Shane Douglas throws down the NWA title. On August 27th, 1994, NWA affiliate Eastern Championship Wrestling held a tournament to crown a new NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. In the tournament final, reigning ECW Heavyweight Champion Shane Douglas defeated Too Cold Scorpio to win the gold, and then all hell broke loose. During his post-match promo, the franchise threw down the NWA strap while declaring that he didn't want to be the champion of a dead organization and instead put over ECW in its own championship belt, declaring it to be a world title. The stunt, which was orchestrated by Heyman, caused immediate controversy, with then NWA president Dennis Coralluzzo declaring it a disgrace. 2 days later, Todd Gordon announced that he had folded Eastern Championship Wrestling and that his promotion would henceforth be known as Extreme Championship Wrestling. Almost 2 decades after the fact, Heyman admitted that he wasn't exactly proud of the double cross, but that he didn't regret doing it and would do the exact same thing again if he had to do it all over. Number 3, Crucified. At High Incident on October 26, 1996, Olympic gold medalist and Pennsylvania...
Oh, I heard of this shit. The angle that they... The angle they wanted Angle to fucking be part of, and Angle was not with it.
native Kurt Angle took a trip to the ECW arena in Philadelphia.
No, I'm wrong. He saw what was going on. I'm wrong, my bad. He saw what was going on. He didn't like it. He said, fuck this, I'm gone.
Angle had been weighing up whether to wrestle for ECW, which he was led to believe presented a product closer to amateur wrestling, and teased a future match with Taz in a segment on the show. Before the night was over though, Kurt not only had zero interest in ever wrestling for ECW, but he had left the arena in disgust and threatened to sue the promotion if they ever aired his appearance on their TV show. That is because of a scene that unfolded following the match between ECW champion The Sandman and Too Cold Scorpio, which saw Raven attack Sandman before crucifying him by tying him to a wooden cross and adorning his head with a crown of barbed wire. Not only was the Olympian offended by the blasphemy, but according to reports, so too was much of the typically liberal ECW audience. Raven was forced to make an out-of-character apology afterwards, and the footage of the crucifixion never aired on ECW television. Number 2, XP.
Where they get these videos from? So is it from tapes? I says there is not aired on TV, so it gotta be in the tapes. Even Kurt Angle was like, "Do not fucking air me on tape. I mean on TV." So it gotta be on tapes, man. This is all tape videos. Cause I've been wondering how Botchamania be getting the hold of like those old school, when it was Taz and Michael Cole commentary, and we hear them bickering and talking to each other like they were off the air. It's like, where the fuck do they get that from? Gotta be some VHS tapes and shit. They cool though. I love those type of shits, man. Those unreleased or, director's cut, if you want to say it, call it. And yeah, man, Kurt Angle wasn't with it. He said, fuck this shit. I don't blame him. Because look what happened. Fucking WWF, the best thing that ever happened to him. Then went to TNA, still kicked ass. Was in WCPW, the show that I mentioned before in the video. He was there as well. Fucking awesome. Yeah, man. XPW invades.
ECW invades. ECW,
I don't even know what that
months
is.
away from going under, may have been limping along in the summer of 2000, but they still had a dedicated fan base and managed to pack almost 6,000 fans into LA's Grand Olympic Auditorium for their West Coast debut. Among those in attendance at the Heatwave 2000 pay-per-view were members of rival upstart promotion Extreme Pro Wrestling, who sat in the front row and prior to the main event put on their XPW t-shirts as they had been instructed to do by XPW promoter Rob Black. This piece of self-promotion caught the attention of Tommy Dreamer and Francine, who confronted Christy Mist after Mist had removed her top, somewhat spoiling a similar spot that was planned for Francine during the main event, and following a brief skirmish, the XPW crew were bounced by security and members of the ECW roster. The story didn't end there, however, because the publicity stunt had angered the rest of the ECW locker room, resulting in a brawl in the parking lot.
Ooh.
With the encouragement of Heyman, the ECW roster went out and beat up the vastly outnumbered XPW gang until the cops were called and the fight was broken up. Number 1, Mass Trans.
Man, ECW is a fucking cult, bro. Don't mess with these fucking cocksuckers back then, bro. Seriously, the fan base and the wrestlers, come on, bro. Just because you put a fucking X in front of your initials, that don't mean you could be over. Nah, bro. ECW will never be duplicated. Not even GCW. Nope. Back then cannot be duplicated. The 90s cannot be duplicated. Especially not today's age, nowadays, man, how soft society has been.
Axel Rotten was unable to
But
make
they were standing on business. What the fuck you doing over here? Huh? What the fuck you doing over here, bro? You're fucking, what's that word? Trespassing. A rival trespassing your premises, bro. Yeah, we're gonna fucking call you out. And we're gonna beat the shit out of you.
make the November 23rd, 1996 ECW house show in Revere, Massachusetts due to a family emergency. 17-year-old trainee Eric Kulas, who wrestled with a bus driver gimmick as Mass Transit, convinced Paul Heyman to let him fill in for Rotten by lying about his age, claiming he was 21, and credentials, falsely claiming to have been trained by Killer Kowalski, which Eric's father had vouched for. Kulas teamed with Devon Dudley against the Gangsters in what should have been a routine outing, but it turned into one of the most notorious worst matches in wrestling history. That's because New Jack, who was upset at his inexperienced opponent's arrogant backstage conduct, bladed Kulas as they had agreed, but cut way too deep and severed 2 arteries in his forehead, leaving him lying unconscious and in a pool of his own
17-year-old.
blood.
That's
the
not.
brawling almost caused the cancellation of ECW's first pay-per-view, Barely Legal, while New Jack faced criminal charges.
Wow, Barely Legal. Mass transit 17-year-old. That's crazy. But it's not that he lied about their his age. Back then it was different, bro. They just go by, oh, you 21? I bet. Verbal agreements. Back then a lot of people weren't that bright, bro. Like he said earlier in the video, Paul Heyman was not a good businessman. You know, he was just putting great shows, but when it comes to business, he wasn't good at it. You know? And Barely Legal, wow, that's the name of the pay-per-view. You can't blame this guy. What's his name? New Jack. Dude lied about his age, bro. Yeah, he can go too far. New Jack can go too far, but you lied about your age, man.
As well as a civil lawsuit from the Kulas family, he was acquitted in both cases. New Jack consistently maintained that he felt no remorse over the situation. Kulas, meanwhile, passed away in May of 2002 at the age of just 22 due to complications from gastric bypass surgery.
Yikes. Yikes.
World champion.
There's no autoplay. Why are you autoplaying anyways? I might do this video another day. I don't know. But ladies and gentlemen, we made it this far. Appreciate it. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, comment down below. Any other controversies ECW went through back in the day? Let me know in the comments. I would love to know. This was a great video. It's great to know about the past. Even though wrestling has been out for like what, over 100 fucking years, man. Seriously. More than that. Over 110, I think since the 1800s, man. Wrestling's been, you imagine the wrestlers from back then see what we're going through right now. I think there will be more. I feel like they will, how you say it, appreciate it more, that is continuing, and there's storyline to it. But if they see other wrestling promotions of what the fuck they're doing, how dumb it is, like mostly the indies in AEW. Nah, they probably will hate the flippy shit. They will probably hate it. I don't know. But the storylines, they will appreciate it and all that good stuff. But yeah. But that's enough for today, for this video. Appreciate it. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. I go by the name of Papa Jr. This is the Ring Out Podcast. And until next time.
Goodbye. Mwah, and good night, bang.
Love.